This episode brought to you by the Paris Catacombs. When you come to the world's most storied and romantic city, we know what you really want to see: bones! And boy, do we have them. We got bones on bones on bones on bones down here at Paris Catacombs. We got skull bones. We got leg bones, finger bones, knee bones. We got all kinds of bones stacked and piled in all sorts of crazy ways. You want walls made of bones? We got those. How about bone columns? Yep. Look over there. We got little pictures made of bones. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is we have bones. So come down to Paris Catacombs because bones. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
I just had to stroll through the scraggly woods.
He had no face!
Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. I'm Bryce Hanson, the full-figured one.
You're on fire today. You heard that I was tired and you just decided to bring it. And I'm David Day, the foremost expert in scare no-nos.
If you're a new listener, please check out our website at horrormovietalk.com. There you'll find past episodes, blogs on horror topics, and most importantly, links to our social media. Reach out to us there and we'll be sure to respond. We post new episodes every Wednesday. Please subscribe and leave a rating if you are on an Apple device. We just crave those ratings. Can't get enough of those damn ratings.
Cannot.
Got a raging rating.
Got a big ratings clue.
We got a great show today. We'll be talking about As Above, So Below.
Oh, baby. This is a Patreon pick, isn't it?
This is a Patreon pick.
What? Well, how does that work?
Well, we'll get to that in the mid-roll.
All right.
First, we'll start out giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge, where it makes you angry, 5 being an average film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, we'll get into the spoiler section, take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later on, we have a couple segments. First, Ben's Battle of Horror Knowledge. Ben Warrington is going to call in on Skype, and he's prepared a quiz for us, and whoever wins gets crowned the king of horror knowledge.
If this is your first time, if you haven't met Ben yet because you haven't listened to enough episodes, Ben is our British news guy from across the pond.
Yeah. Authoritative and soft, dulcet tones.
Dulcet tones. And one of us will be crowned the Boff, the horror Boff.
Boffin. A new term that we've discovered today after playing the game.
Boobs, boobies, tits, titties, tig old biddies, machines.
It's like Ben's in the room here.
And then second, we'll go through, it came from social media, just kind of a mini, it came from social media where we read back some comments that we've received over the course of the week.
Very nice.
So let's get into the movie. We watched As Above and So Below. You can find it on Netflix. It's been streaming on Netflix for like forever.
Yeah, it's been on there for a hot minute. It's been on there for at least like a year, I think.
Yeah, so you can check it out there for free if you pay for it. If you pay for Netflix. I mean, someone you know has got to log in. I mean, you know how it works. Here is the trailer.
My name is Scarlett Marlowe, and I'm a student in urban archaeology.
370 feet beneath this point is a hidden chamber
that might contain a critical missing piece of our history.
How are we supposed to get down there?
The catacombs. There are 200 miles of tunnels right underneath our feet.
They're holding the remains of 6 million corpses.
stop. This is the Empire of the Dead.
These are human bones. We go through here.
Let's do it. Keep it slow and steady, yeah?
I think I'm stuck.
Just breathe with me, please. It's okay.
What was that? I think I am. What the hell do we do now, huh?
We can't go back. We should just keep moving. Tell me we didn't just go in a circle.
It's exactly the same.
No, everything's upside down.
What happened to the entrance?
Wait, there's something here.
Oh my god.
What the hell is this?
When I was a kid, we had a piano that looked exactly like this. I used to play it all the time. The A4 key was messed up. What's going on?
Can you read that?
According to mythology, that's the inscription over the gates of hell. And they shall be made to crawl on their bellies and enter the kingdom of darkness.
Did you hear that?
Is somebody there?
What's happening to us? Dad?
It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault!
As above, so below can be found on Netflix again, loosely based on the classic literary work Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. This film follows a ragtag team of archaeologists as they follow clues to find the legendary Philosopher's Stone. Their search takes them into the labyrinthian catacombs under Paris, France. As they wind themselves deeper into the claustrophobic caverns and through the 9 circles of Hogwarts, they fight against their own demons and encounter far more than they bargained for. David loves it. David you only got like 4 hours of sleep or something?
It wasn't good. It was not good.
He's going to be really loopy this episode. As above, so below is to found footage movies as your racist uncle's one black friend is to all black people. It's one of the good ones. The film is a combination of Indiana Jones, The Descent, and let's say a haunted house movie. It starts off very strong and sets up a full-fledged plot, which is surprisingly rare in a found footage film. Found footage films usually lean heavily on gimmicks and unscripted, quote-unquote, banter.
Yeah.
Also rare in found footage movies, the characters are actually fleshed out and have relationships and backstories.
Yeah, I forgot. I went to see this in theaters originally, and I had a great time. But I had forgotten. This was my second viewing, 6 years later, obviously, because this came out in 2014. But I had forgotten how much backstory they give to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, usually, as far as it goes in found footage movies, or
you learn as you go. At
least in bad ones, their relationship is that they yell at each other when they're frustrated.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
Right. Tatsuo! Canada! Sorry. A little Akira for you.
It gives you enough of a reason to be hooked and interested early on, and has enough mystery and scares to keep you interested throughout. The idea of setting a horror movie in the Paris catacombs is brilliant, and they take full advantage of all the elements that make them scary in real life. It's huge, maze-like, it's claustrophobic, caves be caves, and spooky bones.
It's got all of it.
It's got all of it.
Got it all.
It's not without its flaws, but they are few and far between. The phrase, "we gotta keep moving," is uttered one too many times for my taste. Like, really? We can't rest and reflect for a minute after a lifelong friend just died? All right. We gotta keep moving, though. But honestly, it's hard to find things to complain about with this one. I give it a very high score. a 9 out of 10.
Wow, that is surprising to me. I did not peg you for somebody who'd be 9 out of 10 on As Above, So Below. You know what I was thinking? Is this your first viewing of it?
It's my first, like, where I'm actually gave it my full attention, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. This is your first that you actually sat down and really watched it.
Yeah, I think I had it on while I was doing something else.
I gotcha. So, I was thinking about this. I'd be willing to, say we should give 2 scores if we've seen movies before. Like your memory of your first viewing and now your score now. Because that's pertinent information, Because on first viewing, I was more hyped on this movie than I am now.
Right.
On first viewing, I'd say I give it probably a low 8. It scratched all my itches, and I remember it being received very poorly in theaters. Like critically, I think it was when we went to see it. Like I was sitting in the theater and I checked my phone, and the Rotten Tomatoes score was like 25 or something like that. And so I was kind of like buckling up for a bad time, but it was great. Upon second viewing, I don't know. I think this probably drops down to around a 7 or so.
Yeah. I mean, 9 is definitely pretty generous on my part, but it's mostly like, it's like a tight little package.
It is.
This movie. Like, it's very well crafted and it like puts a lot more thought into it than found footage movies usually do.
The first viewing really had a strong impact on me because of the catacombs, because of the tight spaces and the tight camera angles, and this whole thing was filmed underground under Paris. Yeah. Like and it was I watched it, or I read an interview with the directors, who I believe are brothers. And they were like, yeah, it was not a fun time filming this whole thing. It was miserable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes out with a really strong story. Yeah.
Yeah.
That follows not necessarily Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, but Dante's Inferno. Yeah. Very strong.
I mean, yeah, we'll talk about that in the spoiler section, but it's more of that is made than it actually is warranted.
Do you think so? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the fact that there's the only thing I see that like alludes to that is towards the end, it's kind of hell-like, and that there's 7 levels, and that's it. Like, there's not really an allusion to...
Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah, I think... Well, I mean, did you read Dante's Inferno?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then maybe you just didn't understand it. That's a dick douchey.
Yeah, that is a dick douchey move. All right.
Sabrina, don't just stare at it. Eat it.
Yeah. So what are you landing on now?
Yeah,
7?
I'd say like a second viewing is a 7, but I did say first viewing's an 8. If you have not seen this movie, this is a great found footage movie that is very kind of existential, kind of H.P. Lovecraftian, without being H.P. Lovecraft at all. Like, it's a different lane.
Well, I mean, it's definitely the part that's H.P. Lovecraft is the like alchemy, mystery magic kind of like
Indiana Jones
dealing with stuff that shouldn't be dealt with, like ancient knowledge.
Yes, but also like the physics of this place is totally. I mean, they basically do go to hell, right? And it's not like a classic hell. It's like a little bit more disturbing because it's probably more accurate to what hell might be like. It's like confusing, claustrophobic, constantly keeping you on your toes and scared and upset or hurt or dying. It's spooky.
Yeah. So yeah, I think on my first viewing, I would have given it like a 6. 'Cause it's like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I think you actually like oversold it to me too. It was like so great. And when I watch it, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. But now that I've given it my full attention, I recognize like there's a lot of stuff going for this movie, and yeah, I don't think it gets as much love as it probably deserves, especially in the found footage subgenre. This should be like one of the top of the list.
I bet I know something that you're going to say, which is the premise for the found footage-ness of it, right? So a lot of times Bryce will get hung up on on the premise of why is this found footage, and this has a strong premise for that,
right? And it works. And I mean, that's the other thing is that I think found footage movies work better when you're able to shoot things as found footage that you couldn't otherwise. Like if you had like a normal, like stable, stationary camera filming them walking through caverns, it's just not as interesting because like you wouldn't be able to get that tight. Yeah. You'd have to like blow out a side and have it be on a soundstage.
You're absolutely right. And to that point, this movie, there was points in this movie where the lighting was done with actual flashlights. Right. Like most of the movie, actually. Like where they used little headlamps and little, GoPro cameras to actually light and film the thing.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get to the spoiler section, got a little bit of mid-roll. Woo, 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 woo! That's the emergency alert sound.
Jesus.
Horror movie talk reviews new movies, and that means we rely heavily on theaters. Our favorite theaters are small, privately owned ones in our community. And during this corona shutdown, all of these theaters are in serious jeopardy. We've decided to help out these theaters the only way we know how, which is to feature them in our podcast. And today we want to feature again Kiggins Theater in Vancouver, Washington. It's a Depression-era theater that's had several lives. It's been restored in the last decade, and it's a beautiful, the exterior is like Art Deco signage and stuff. It's really a cool little theater. They sell beer and stuff in there. They're like other theaters, they're struggling to survive. So please, if you're local or not, you can actually support this theater by watching a virtual screening off of their website, and they get a cut of the streaming revenue.
They always got some cool indie flicks on there that are like, and they're pretty careful to curate them too. Like they don't just choose some shit for you to buy and then be upset that you had to watch. Like they got some taste.
Yeah. And if you are local, you can also buy gift certificates to use when they open up, which should be pretty soon. It sounds like June, late May, mid-June, stuff should start opening up.
Washington
and
Oregon have really been doing a very good job of fighting the Rona.
Yeah. So go check them out at KigginsTheater.com. That's KIGGINSTHEATRE. So it's like
theatre.
The way Ben would spell theater.
Right.
Not us Americans.
Oldie shop with the 2 P's and an E.
Put off talking about a Patreon. What was it we were bringing up? Oh, this is a patron selection, this movie that we're reviewing. And one of the tiers, you get to be involved in suggesting a movie that we should review in the next month and voting on the suggestions that come out from the patron crew.
It's not like we don't appreciate it when fans, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter or something like that and be like, you guys should review this or that. It's just we only got 4 spots a month.
Yeah,
and
we got 52 weeks in a year, and there's a lot of new releases normally.
Yeah.
And a lot of like back catalog of classics to cover. So.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want your voice to be heard in terms of what we review, the best way to do that is hop on Patreon. Check out whichever tier that is. I think it's the high one.
Yeah. The other things that are a little more, probably our most popular perk and the thing that people like a lot is the afterpod, where we leave the mics running after an episode and just talk about stuff, personal lives.
Sometimes we cry for a long time.
Yeah. Like recently, probably the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not really a joke.
Death and destruction in the Hanson family. So yeah, there's that. Just check out all the tiers. There might be something that you like and you can support the show because, put a lot of time into the show. We provide it for free, but the people that love us have an opportunity to support us. Another way you can support the podcast is buying or renting any movie or product on Amazon if you click through the green button in the header of our website, horrormovietalk.com. If you want to get access to a bunch of great curated streaming horror films and TV, check out Shudder. And if you've been on the fence about joining, use code HMT at checkout and you'll get a 30-day free trial there. So you can get the full idea of what's on there. And finally, check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. He's a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. Contact him at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram, and make your artistic dreams come true. Tell him HMT sent you. And again, thanks to Max for the intro music.
That's Max_Allen1235. Kid can fuck with the best of them when it comes to creating music or intros for podcasts. So if you're a podcaster and you're listening to this, hit Max up because he knows what's up. I just wanted to give a quick little extra blurb to Shudder. Some of the titles that are just right on my front page for Shudder right now are one that's being heralded quite highly is Blood Machines. Also, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Monstrum is another Shudder original that's real big right now. You got Hellraiser. You got Hellraiser 2, Hellbound. You got The Reanimator. You got all the Joe Bob Briggs Last Drive-In. You got The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog. You got Old Boy, The Taking of Deborah Logan. Daniel Isn't Real. The very, very, very popular One Cut of the Dead. It's, there's just tons of good shit on Shudder. So HMT at checkout there.
They've got a lot of really good foreign horror as well, if you're into that.
Yeah, they sure do.
So let's get into spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've already talked about, where this lies in the found footage realm. We don't have to talk too much more about that, but I think it just uses it really well.
Why is that?
Like I said, it's the premise makes sense in that they're documenting, uncovering this archaeological find. It works in terms of like the close quarters.
Yeah,
it makes it feel more claustrophobic. It feels like you're right in there.
Well, but not only that, but the very basic premise of why are there cameras here is they like you said, they're on an archaeological kind of expedition, and so they need to document what's going on. But also the spaces are too tight. So what do? They put the little camera in their headlamp. And so everybody basically has a head cam walking around that's automatically lit. And so just the very basic principle for how the found footage takes place.
And you got multiple angles by default.
Right.
Because a lot of people have the video cameras. Like that's the one thing about other found footage films is it really has to stretch and come up with an excuse why they have multiple cameras and security cameras set up everywhere.
Yeah, the best ones are the ones that built the premise, baked it into the movie, like Paranormal Activity 1, 2, and 3. Those are the best ones, in my opinion, where they have stationary cameras. But this is as good as that, the premise for it.
the opening is very strong in this movie. You jump right into the action. It takes its time before like getting into the main gimmick, which is
underground
Paris catacombs.
Yeah,
it starts out setting the theme with Scarlett, the main character, going underground and discovering the key to discovering the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, somewhere in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's taken underground by this guy named Reza. I think one of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
And he leads her through this underground right before it's going to get exploded.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how they set the stakes on that immediately. It's like, no, you don't have a lot of time. It's like, we gotta go.
Yeah, you don't have time. And if you get caught, they're going to kill you. Specifically, they'll kill you by burying you up to the neck in sand or having a rock wall pushed onto you. Which brings up one question. How many execution walls are there in Iran?
I know.
How many rock walls are just standing around that are available to be pushed over as a form of execution?
Take her to the wall field. We got another wallflower over here. Better plant her.
Let's see. We could load a single bullet in a gun, or we'll get some masons out here. Just set up we'll build like a...
Well, it's a Mason training camp.
And build up like a 10-foot wall. Very modest. You get 10-foot rock wall to push over on someone.
Right. But you don't get the high quality guys out there. You get the apprentices who are just learning. They build shaky walls. You push them over. It's great.
It's really part of their economy.
Yeah, you can really, this is an Adam Carolla point that he makes a lot. You can really tell a civilization by the media that they use to construct their buildings with. And, a part of that is just locality, right? If you're in a place where earthquakes don't happen, great, use bricks. That's perfect. But if you are in a place where earthquakes happen, wood, it's the only way to go because it bends and it moves. But man, bricks, they just fall right on down. So that's where those brick wall pushing over things happen. That's why.
So she discovers the key and gets let out. There's a couple like interesting things in there. There's a kind of a what would you call it? Like a false flag for horror movies where Rez is like, come on, we gotta go. I have a family. I'm like, uh-oh. He said he has a family. That guy's gonna die.
Yeah. But then he doesn't. Yeah, and then also in there, so after she's found the key, she sees a man hanging from the ceiling. And and she's already and she's like, oh my God. And that's a setup for later.
Yeah, I mean it's a complete non sequitur. It like comes out of the blue. Just all of a sudden a man hanging
like by the neck with a noose around his neck
just
from
appears.
The ceiling. Yeah.
For some reason, and she reacts to it
the way you might,
and just like, but I mean, the ceiling's collapsing, so she can't really ponder it that much.
Not a lot of time.
This is actually in this scene is a really good use of shaky cam as well, which is, I don't know.
I know where you're going with this. There has to be stakes for it to be shaky.
Right.
If everything's fine, you don't get to just shake the fucking camera.
Yeah, and I don't know how...
That's middle school bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know how to describe why this shaky cam feels better than others, but the explosions are going off. It's utter chaos. So cameras getting dropped and like pushed over and, rolled around, and it really feels like it makes it feel real. It looks like what you would see in an internet snuff video of someone, getting shot while they're
go on, tell us more about snuff videos.
I can't get enough of them.
I know what you mean. I think it has to do, I'm not sure, but it feels like, the difference between film and like tape? Like watching a movie versus watching a soap opera, and the soap opera feels crispy, kind of like too clean. And the movement of the camera feels jarring a little bit if it's not very carefully done. I think it may be the media that they used to record on because some shaky cam stuff is stomach churning, and this is not that. Even though it points it's frantic.
Yeah, it's a little point to make. It's not that important, but it's just for some reason that stood out to me as pretty good shaky cam.
Yeah.
Reza gives, after they escape certain death, Reza gives Scarlet a warning that everyone that hunts for Flamel's stone is crazy. They all wind up dead. So very much a harbinger of doom at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, everyone who searches for it doesn't find it until the person who does find it. It's like, well, yeah.
Yeah, the opening exposition in this film is done really well. It's very much like a Indiana Jones film of like, we are going to describe this relic and why like it hasn't been seen and the powers that it has.
Yeah.
And so you're very interested in them finding it. Here's a clip of, did I say Scarlet? Is that her name? Yeah, Scarlet describing what the Philosopher's Stone is. She's being filmed by a documentarian that's following her, named
Documentarian number 1.
Benji.
Benji, that's right.
Benji the Hunted. So here's her explaining.
Oh, that's a stinky toot.
About the Philosopher's Stone and a little bit about her father as well.
Your father, what did he teach you about the Philosopher's Stone?
Everything. That it's an elusive substance that could turn base metals into gold and can provide the key to eternal life. Sort of crude representation, but basically the creation of the stone was the goal of alchemy, which was an early form of science which studied transformation in all its forms. And my father was actually the world's preeminent historian in alchemy.
So your father, there was a lot of speculation that he was mentally unstable. Is there any truth to that?
Why? Because he killed himself?
Yeah, I mean, so it's just worth pointing out, one of the hardest things to do in movies, because you don't have a lot of time, is setting up everything through exposition. And so having, ways of just stating facts is... Or alluding
to the motives of a person.
Right.
Yeah, without directly saying them. And they did it skillfully. Yeah. Why? Did he kill himself? Have you heard about your dad? Why did he kill himself?
Yeah.
That says everything you need to know, and it's a skillfully dropped.
Because you tell how she feels about that, that she's been asked that a bunch of times, like...
That she's concerned that he might kill himself?
Well, no, he did kill himself.
Oh.
She said... What do you mean? That he killed himself?
Oh, I thought she said, did he kill himself?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because she's saying, like, people have been saying that he went insane. But
yes.
She's like, I mean...
I misheard that.
What's that based on? Just the fact that he killed himself?
I misheard that twice.
So, and then it, like, gives a little more context to seeing the guy hanging in the scenes before.
That's her dad.
And you're like, I mean, as a film watcher, you understand pretty quickly that was probably a vision of her dad.
Right.
So really good job of setting up the exposition. Pretty soon it introduces us to kind of the second main character, which is George. He is one of the only people, or he knows one of the only languages that Scarlet doesn't, which is Aramaic. And so he comes and helps them translate, the next clue or whatever. I know him. I recognize him from his role on Silicon Valley on HBO.
I still haven't watched that.
He plays like a real douchebag lawyer
Oh, okay.
It's a great character. His name on Silicon Valley is Ron LaFlamme, which is really close to the historical guy that they talk about, which is Flamel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of close names, right? Mm-hmm. So, what's the guy's name who takes them through the?
Papillon.
Yeah. So, one of the characters in Dante's Inferno is Papillon, I believe, or maybe it's one of the alchemists. Oh, it's the alchemist who ended up supposedly finding the Philosopher's Stone, I believe, was also called Papillon. Let me double check. Let me do my due diligence.
The guy that found the Philosopher's Stone that they keep referring to is his last name is Flamel.
Okay, let me find out who I'm talking about then, because I'm getting my people crossed here.
So, and this is another good example of storytelling. The way that they communicate the relationship between George and Scarlett is done really well. They have history. It's kind of alluded to that Scarlett left George hanging in a previous expedition, and he ended up in a Turkish jail, which, I don't know, as far as jails go, probably isn't the best.
Yeah, no, they're widely renowned for having a bad jail system. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like their coffee is great.
Their prisons are not great.
As good as their coffee is, that's how bad their prisons are.
Yeah, and this has a great scene that is just a great example of subtlety, which is George joins the two, Scarlett and Benji, to help them out translating stuff, and then he is communicating what their backstory is, and then they go back to this museum or whatever, and he's talking to this girl, this curator or something in the distance, and it shows Scarlett, and she's just watching him, just kind of like, it's hard to tell what she's thinking. She just turns to the camera and goes, "She's pretty."
Yeah.
Just like a very much a ex-girlfriend vibe of like, I'm okay with this. I'm like, no, we're cool. She's pretty. Good for him. Good kind of thing.
Good job.
But then, there's something there. She's acting a little too cool. Anyways, little touches like that go a long way for me. They find the next clue through, your generic National Treasure / Indiana Jones hijinks. And they translate this poem into English. And it's amazing. Once they translate this ancient Aramaic poem, it rhymes perfectly in English.
That's God's will.
Mm-hmm. Here's a clip.
Winged vulture leads the way with brightest light in darkest day. Underneath the heavens reign. What is lost shall be regained. Halfway twixt the darkest gate and this tablet laid atop a parid fate.
Okay, so underneath the heavens reign, what is lost shall be regained.
What is lost shall be regained.
Underneath a parid, just like...
Up your nose with a rubber hose.
Yeah, so it's a little on the nose, like... This is a poem.
Yeah.
Look, it rhymes in English. So that's pretty convenient.
That's a good point. They do some cool Indiana Jones shit in this movie, too. There's
scarabs.
Yeah, scarabs. And then also, they take his headstone off the wall, turn it around, make a little solution out of some commonplace cleaning products, and then burn the back of this tablet, and then an inscription shows up, and it's like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that stuff is good. And then they just join a generic tour group, which is really nice because it sets up the exposition of what are the Paris catacombs,
right?
Because a tourist guide explains it to you. But they kind of break off, and they're kind of like looking at a map and trying to determine where
That's right.
this thing might be buried. And they look over, and all of a sudden there's this spooky hippie ghost that's like, you got to talk to my bro Papillon.
It's not clear. It's not clear if he's a ghost or not. It looks like he's just a student who's just finding a place that's quiet and like studying on his computer.
But it's your generic, like, well, he didn't have a computer.
Whatever. He had a book or something.
It's your generic, like, pan over and all of a sudden someone's there sitting just like suddenly.
Yeah.
And then you look away and you look back and spooky ghost gone.
He's an allusion to some part of Dante's Inferno as well. Like telling you this is the person you need to find to get to take you through hell, basically.
Okay.
I watched a thing. I watched one of those YouTube videos that's like,
it's a stretch. That's a stretch. Dante's Inferno, he starts out with Marlowe. Like, or I'm pretty sure is it Marlowe or Mallory? It's someone, it's like another author that he respects.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's another poet.
But he starts out with him at the beginning. Doesn't like find him or get introduced to him.
Okay. But doesn't, well, I can't remember enough of it to be able to hang. So
anyways, so they get referred to this guy Papillon, and they go to this nightclub, and there's a creepy-eyed girl that like walks by them. Lots of like little subtle touches of like, that person's creepy.
Yeah,
just kind of to put you on edge.
She got those big eyes, those big wet eyes.
And they meet the Frenchies, and they're like, "Hey, we ain't tour guides, and we're cool." And then they tell them, "We're gonna go to part of the catacombs where no one's been," and all this stuff, and it piques their interest enough that they want to assist them.
They're like, "There's supposed to be treasure," and he's like, "Can we have 50% of the treasure if there's treasure?" She's like,
"You can have all of it."
And then her friend, what's his name, George?
Yeah,
George is like, "No, 50%'s good."
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
hold on, sweetie.
Men are talking.
So they go, and like you said, they find this hole into the catacombs, which is like under this train, tunnel.
So on their approach, they get down in like, you've seen train channels that are basically lower than the rest of the city. So they're like giant ditches for trains. And so they get down into this ditch, but as they're going through Paris, have you been to Paris? I think you have.
Yeah.
Yes, and so have I. And one of the most notable things, I stayed in Chinatown, and then just took the metro into the city, or into the tourist part near Notre Dame and the Louvre and stuff. But one of the biggest takeaways that I got from Paris was, there is a lot of, what do you call it? Graffiti everywhere.
Yeah.
Tons. Unbelievable amounts. Irresponsible amounts. Amounts that make you question the city officials, where you're like, how could you let it get this bad? Like, cars on the street were covered in completely. And there's an aspect of it that's like, well, this is art. You go, I wonder how much of this is like just a cultural thing where the Parisians respect the art behind what's being done here, and how much of it is just idle youth, just tagging shit up. But they did a good job, because this whole movie, for a good portion of it, has a lot of graffiti in it. Because they're as they're entering hell, it's like, it's got all this beautiful graffiti art all over the place. Right. And I thought that was a nice touch, because that is how Paris feels. It's a lot of fucking graffiti all over the place.
Right. Yeah, I don't mind like the actual art graffiti, where it's like they put a lot of effort and it's like a whole wall mural thing. I just when you're just a dude that's like,
Ron
Brohan! Exclamation point, like with a little circle around it. I'm like, all right, who cares? Who cares that you are here?
Yeah, no one. Not me.
Like, who's that impress? Or like, even if you're another tagger, do you take a second glance of, I don't know. This is a culture that I don't know anything about and don't care for. So they get into the catacombs right before they get in. So George is very adamant that he's not going to go with them. That he's like, I don't do underground. And the backstory is that his brother drowned in a cave.
I'm no go down. Bad.
Yeah. And so he keeps saying he's not going to go. But when the police ambush them as they're entering that hole, everyone goes into the hole because, they don't want to get arrested, throw some smoke bombs, and then all of a sudden George is with them. Conveniently, Benji brought an extra headlamp and camera.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't just take one of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have enough.
So he's with them, and a lot of mood setting. And these early on, they like walk by, and there's like kind of a weird, creepy cult choir singing.
Yeah, there's like a coven of bare-chested witches.
I don't think they're actually bare-chested.
I think I saw some boobies.
I think you might have wanted to see them, but I was looking pretty close.
Now I'm questioning myself.
Yeah.
How badly did I want to see the boobies?
Yeah.
Probably pretty bad.
As always. I always want to see them. So they go in there. Let's see. Yeah, they hear the ghostly singing. They see like this weird, coven, and they just kind of brush it off as there's always some weird people here. Like, I mean, but really, I mean, that's
I know
weird.
It's like, okay, wait. You got a choir of bitches, like all painted up, like
white dresses,
doing the monk music, and you're just gonna be like, nah, there's some wacky people down here. I would be like, let's get the fuck out of here. Like, I would be out so fast if I saw that shit.
Yeah. Also, the fact that they're in the catacombs really solves the eternal horror movie problem of why not cell phones? And the answer is like they wouldn't get reception down there. So not able to communicate other than being together. The stakes are set early on. One of the French girl, what's her name? I actually was smart and put the whole cast in the
Banshee?
Sushi. It's Souxie. I'm gonna say sushi.
No, it's not sushi.
Susie?
They call her the Banshee.
Sushi?
It's probably where did you put this?
At the end, last page.
Let's see here.
All right.
That's probably what it is.
Or to all our French, I don't think we have many listeners in France, so fuck those guys.
The French.
So yeah, I have not played that yet.
Yeah.
The French.
So anyways, sets the stakes, and she says, here are all the things that are going to kill you. If you run out of water, you're going to die. If your flashlight goes out or you get hurt, you will die. Like and this came around a time where there's a lot of talk about, I don't know, on the internet, you've probably seen pictures of people found dead in the Paris catacombs. Like if you wander off or you get lost, like
it's a death warrant.
It's no fucking joke. It's a complete maze, and it's huge. So there are people that get lost in the dark and die.
Yeah, and the way you go is the worst way you can go, which is dehydration.
Yeah.
You literally run out of water, and that kills you the fastest. That's like a 48 to 72 hour thing. And there's actually a movie starring Natalie Portman, or maybe it's Keira Knightley. I can't remember. It's one of the two. Very young. That deals with this death by dehydration in a tunnel, dark tunnel of some sort. I can't remember what it's called. It might be like the tunnel or something.
So they go and they identify the place where they need to crawl through. The French guide is like, hey, we got to go through this
long way,
this long, tiny hole, where we have to crawl over this pile of bones. And Scarlett's like, but doesn't this doorway that's just has rocks over it? Can't we just go through there?
Can't we just take the fast way? And he's like, no, nobody goes that way.
She's like, yeah, but it's faster. It's on the map.
Listen, Frenchie.
And he gets all upset. He's like, one of our friends that has spent like years and years and years in this tunnel knew every inch of the catacombs. Even he wouldn't go down that one tunnel. And the one time that he did, he never came back.
He wouldn't, and then he did, and then he died.
Yeah. Oh, and so they go the narrow way, and this is one of the first good set pieces and scares, is that Benji's crawling through, and really sympathetic to Benji, because if you're the big guy, or just have a little more mass than everyone else, doing those caving things is pretty intense.
Yeah, there's I think claustrophobia is a base fear. I think everybody has a little bit of that.
Right.
That's probably not actually true, but a large portion of people do. I used to, and then I got a job as an electrician, and that went right out the window because I just had to crawl through things all the time. And now I can actually do it. I can get stuck in very tight places and not panic. Mm-hmm. And that's the only key to it, is just not panicking and just calming down and just going, okay, I'm going to wiggle. I'm going to wiggle my hips.
Where would you get stuck?
Under houses.
Really?
Mostly, yeah.
You would get stuck under a house.
Oh my God. There's like the foundation that some houses are built on is like a big box, right? So just the outside is concrete. But sometimes you have these
like the pillars.
Not just pillars, but there'll be like, I've crawled through like holes that are just big enough to fit, my shoulders through.
Huh.
Because sometimes they'll have like a cross section underneath the house of cement, and they'll just put these little bird blocks, like they're not very big at all, and you really gotta squeeze. Like it's like moving inch by inch. It'll take 10 minutes to get through a hole.
Yeah. So Benji gets stuck, and he did not want to go through this tunnel.
It is a good panic attack, and it really perks you up for the rest of the thing.
And there's a couple things about this. Like when he does like struggle, you do actually see like the rocks above him kind of move, like the foam rocks. Oh. You're like, okay, well we'll just ignore that. And then the other great part is that as he's stuck and having a panic attack, you hear that choir singing in the background, and he just goes, "Why are they singing?"
That's a real life moment. That feels so real. That's exactly what you. Why are they still singing? What's going on?
Just chaos. And they get through, and then all of the rocks collapse behind them, and they get through this tunnel that they almost lost their lives to, and they're right back at square one. They're exactly where they started, because that same doorway with the rocks in it is right there. And Papillon is like freaking out. He's like, "How? This isn't possible. We climbed straight. How do we do this?" So it's the first inkling of like, yeah, physics aren't really working right down here, and they don't really have much of a choice. So of course they go break down the rocks and go into the spooky tunnel. And that's when
Can confirm boobage.
Really?
I've been looking all this time. There were boobies.
Really?
There's just a glimmer.
Oh.
I can promise you, though, there are boobies in this movie.
All right. Desperate for boobies. So they go in there. So, okay, let's talk about the Dante's Inferno. I hear people making a big deal of like, oh yeah, it's a, they're basically saying it's an adaptation of Dante's Inferno, and it's not at all. Like,
I'm going to send you this video I watched, and then you be the judge of it.
Maybe, but I mean, like, the whole thing about Dante's Inferno is that it has different levels of hell that represent specific sins.
Right.
And I can't see anything that corresponds.
What about the part where they get to the treasure room?
That's the one. Like, the ones
that's greed.
It's like pick and choose. Like, the greed one kind of works because there's treasure. Where's the level that represents gluttony? Where's the level that represents lust or anger or heresy or violence? Like, it doesn't.
The violence one was when their guide, who was the guy who got lost down there, they find him, and he kind of guides them through the levels of hell for a time, and then they break through to the other side, where they see the as above, so below symbology, and they go, oh, and then they go through the room, and then they're in the same room, but everything's was inverted. Mm-hmm. They get in there, and then he's in there with them, with the dead Philosopher's Stone man, and he murders a girl.
Right.
That's violence.
Yeah, but violence is supposed to be the last one. It just
and then the part where the guy gets buried up to his ankles in the car with the car. That's specifically referenced from Dante's Inferno.
Sure. I mean, it'll probably take elements from it.
Okay, that's
like it takes like the phrase. Okay, so Dante's Inferno starts out with Dante arriving at a gate, and it says, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter therein or herein," or whatever. And that's like a very, very, very famous phrase of like, you're entering the gates of hell, abandon all hope, basically.
And then you crawl on your belly to the kingdom of hell.
And in this movie, it's like halfway through, like that specific phrase comes. So like, there's a point in the movie where like,
because first they're in what do you call it? That place before hell, the Catholic place,
limbo.
Limbo or purgatory.
Sure, but then there's like 3 levels of like the abandon all hope, ye who enter in this movie comes like after they've gone through like the quote unquote above phase, and they're well into the below phase.
Yeah.
And then they enter. I mean, there's allusions to hell that's very like supernatural. And
it's the sins that everyone has committed, or is that is haunting them. So each person has something that they're regretful about, right?
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a sin.
Well, I think those sins are meant to stand for when you break them down. I'll give it to you. It's pretty loose.
Yeah, I mean I recognize that it's pretty loose. I'm just saying, like, if you're expecting like a 1-to-1
Dante's Inferno,
it is not that.
No.
It uses elements and color from it sometimes. It also uses elements and color from lots of other literature and stuff. Anyways, that just, to me, it's made bigger a deal than it actually is.
It's probably, you're right. It's probably a thing that people want to start conversations about.
It's like
have
they
you
see,
read Dante's Inferno?
I know. They see the abandon all hope, ye who enter in. They're like, I know that. I recognize that. I know what
that is.
I know what that is. And they just say, I got it. I unlocked it. It's about Dante's Inferno. And it's like, okay, that's one thing.
I
can't believe that Bryce prefers Van Patten's card to mine.
Can't believe it.
So each of them, as you said, are haunted by something in their past, and as they wind their way through these tunnels, each of them kind of see visions of different things. So George sees visions of his brother drowning.
That's a phobia, right?
Yeah.
Being stuck under the water. There's a lot of phobias represented in this.
Yeah. Scarlett has visions of her dad hanging. So
that phone call under there scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, that came early on too. Yeah, a lot of very just off-putting, just like creepy things early on.
It's like out of place, but it's also strangely in place. Like you kind of go, well, yeah, they run phone lines underground sometimes, and maybe this is just a thing, a holdover that somebody plugged in because they were living down here for a little bit, but also like, why is it ringing? And then she answers it, and it's like specifically for her, and it's like, you.
Yeah, and then in the trailer, it also shows George, they find just a random piano down there.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, this one looks just like the one that me and my brother used to play on. Except, yeah, we used to play the song, except the song the piano's A4 key
was no good.
And then he plays it, and then the A4 key doesn't work.
No good.
And I checked. It actually was the A4 key. That was the correct
Bryce
name for it.
Breaking out his music knowledge over here. Yeah, like I said, this thing's like a paranoia factory. There's a lot of things represented. There's drowning, so there's the fear of the water. There's claustrophobia. There's heights and falling. Like there are a lot of heights-based scares in this one. There's bones, dead people. There's like the fear of walking into a room and someone already being there. That's
someone that you weren't expecting specifically.
Oh, that one does it to me every time. Every time they walk into a room and there's someone just sitting in there, I'm like, oh, I do not want that.
Yeah.
I would run so fast.
As they go through this, you already mentioned they find acquaintance of Papillon and the French people, and it's the guy that they specifically talked about of like
he went down that path and died.
Yeah, it's that guy shows up, and he's got like black eyes, and he's just kind of your generic stand in place and be creepy vibe.
But he also has powers. Political powers. No, he also has powers because he can apparently see in the dark, right?
Sure.
So he can just walk around without having light and see where he's going, and he teleports.
And he's super strong.
And very hungry.
So they find him.
He does teleport down hallways. Like they'll be like, "How did you get the fuck down there so fast?"
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
They come across like an ancient crusader, a la Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and they ask the great question is he dead?
He's the guy who found the Philosopher's Stone, and the reason he wasn't rotted was because he had been in contact with the Philosopher's Stone. He'd been dead down here for 700 years, but because he had the Philosopher's Stone, he didn't rot.
Sure. Anyways, not a really great question to ask. Is this desiccated corpse dead? Yes.
Yes,
he is.
Yes, it is.
He's in Crusader regalia. Like,
yeah.
I don't think he's alive.
He's probably dead.
And they didn't. I mean, that felt like a setup to he's going to stand up and scare you, and that never happens, which is good. I like the discipline to set up scares and not use them.
I love it. It's something to be respected. It's like, no, we're just going to leave that here, because then it kind of haunts you a little bit.
Another super obvious line is they're in the catacombs and the ceiling starts cracking and like kind of folding in, and someone asks, "Is that bad?"
Yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it's
is.
not good. I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, and then there's some cool Indiana Jonesy shit throughout, right? So there's like the deadfall trap or whatever it is, where it's what are those hinges, those ancient Egyptian hinges that the pharaohs used to keep their tombs safe from raiders? And it's like, well, it's like a deadfall. So you have to remove a specific rock. And if you remove any other rock other than the specific rock that is very discreetly hidden, then you die by virtue of the cavern collapsing or something like that.
Right.
So there's some cool like adventure elements throughout.
Finally, they find the room where the Philosopher's Stone is held, and we're like midpoint of the movie at this point. So it's like, where are they going to go from here? I like that she identifies and then like
as an attack helicopter
takes out this Philosopher's Stone, and she says, "It looks so ordinary." Like, I'm like, yeah, just your run of the mill giant gem.
Yeah, it's
like a fist sized ruby, basically.
Yeah,
it looks so plain.
Yeah, it looks like every other rock I've ever seen in the gravel. Wait, no, it doesn't at all. It's very unique.
And then they keep, I can't remember what forces them. I think that like the entrance to the place collapses or whatever. They're basically they're constantly forced to go forward and not backward. And they
sometimes by supernatural means, sometimes by regular physical means, like the place behind them collapsing, and then sometimes they'll go through a little hole and then they'll turn around and the hole's just gone.
Yeah, and there's definite moments where they find a giant well or a hole in the ground. So that's part of where the circles of hell comes from, is that they keep descending to different levels. That is one of the best jump scares in the movie, and it got me.
Which one?
Last night was they were going down
when he's the last one.
When Benji's the last one, and you see in the background there's like just a girl
with a baby. White. She has a baby.
Oh, does she have a baby? I didn't even notice
there's
that.
A baby.
There was a baby?
There was a baby?
Yeah, so Benji's there and he's looking around, and all of a sudden there's just a jump scare with the spooky girl. Like, bah!
Yeah.
And then cut to bottom of the well, and they're like, "Hey, Benji, everything okay?" And then he, like, falls directly on his head. Yeah.
Yeah. This movie is full of, like, little pockets of like, little visual goodies. Not goodies, like, terrifying things, where from as soon as they get in the cavern proper, like there will be moments that you may not notice on first viewing. It may take a couple watches, but I noticed a few spots where there was things that were never mentioned or brought up, and it was just as they were running and then kind of a side glance,
right?
And there'd be a person
right
in a little room to the side, and it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, if you're paying real good attention to it while you're watching it, it's like, ooh, what's that? And you don't ever get yeah
so after they are in the section with the Philosopher's Stone, they see this mural that talks about as above so below, and that it's the kind of basis for magic, things within the same as without. So basically you can will things into being,
You are the Philosopher's Stone, Harry.
So as they go down, there's like just basically a mirror image of what they've already been through.
Yeah.
Except this version is, the Bizarro version of that. So there's lots more demons and
oh man, if Bizarro had showed up in this movie, that'd have been awesome.
So they go down, and it really speeds up. It ramps up as they go down, and then they get to a certain point, and George gets his head busted or something, and then
a statue jumps out of the wall and bites him in the neck.
Yeah, as one does.
Yeah,
and Scarlett tries to use the Philosopher's Stone. Oh, we didn't mention Philosopher's Stone can heal wounds.
Yeah, she very clearly heals one of her friends and then continues to do so.
And she realizes this happens very quickly, and I'd have to like actually read a synopsis to figure out what happens, but she's like, "Oh, this Philosopher's Stone doesn't work. It's something.
So what she does is she goes back and she like retraces her steps through.
She like runs back. So like all these. So the last like 20 minutes worth of like levels and story that we've just seen, she retraces her steps in like 2 minutes.
Yes, and she realizes that it's basically the power was within you the whole time. Yeah. As I see it, so it is. As above, so below. So the quote unquote magic is within you, is within everybody, as long as they realize it, as long as they go.
It's like
it is true.
Yeah, the Philosopher's Stone the Philosopher's Stone is the feather for Dumbo.
Right. Yes, you had the power the whole time. You just didn't know it. Yeah. It's like, have you ever read that book, The Wizard's First Rule?
No.
The Wizard's First Rule is sometimes the best magic is tricking people into believing something. And the trick is played on all of us, supposedly in As Above, So Below, in that we're not magical. We all believe we're not magical, but in reality, everything is as you see it. And as you see it, everything is. So if you believe you have magic, you got it.
Right. So the ending's great. It speeds up. Like pretty much everyone dies except I think it's the last three, right? Papillon doesn't make it. It's
right.
The non-important French guy.
Papillon gets sucked into, like, that's a horror.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Everything goes so sideways towards the end. Like, the pit of hell in this is disturbing. There's bands of people, dark people walking around, and it's like, shh, shh, shh. Like this thing where you hope they don't see you, but maybe they'll walk by, but you're being way too loud with your shh, shh, shh.
Yeah.
Like,
everyone be quiet. Shut up. He's going to hear you.
Turn off your flash. Don't flash him in the eyes. And then, it gets this really, there's like this severe echo of people being hurt. And it's too
very,
much.
Very hell-like.
Yeah, it's
at a certain point.
And it's disorienting in a upsetting way.
And they finally get to a point where there's this final like hole that they're like, all right, well, it looks like a sewer cover.
Well, yeah, they have to jump down a pit to atone for their sin,
sure,
or something like that.
As one does. And they find the sewer cover and they try to like lift it up and it won't go. And then somehow they figure out if you push it, it actually goes down. And so
it's like inverse gravity.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then they climb through and they end up like right outside of Notre Dame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cathedral. So it's
Rip Notre Dame, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that poor tower isn't there anymore.
Sad, man. Burned down, if you didn't know.
Well, part of it's burned down. I haven't heard the latest, but
the wood part of it burned down.
Yeah. Haven't heard the latest of like, I hear like back and forth whether the fire damage to the stone is irreparable or not.
I don't know exactly what that means. I'm sure there's...
So, I mean, if you like have masonry and it catches on fire, like you'd think, oh, well, that's fine. It's just stone.
It's just
right?
rock. Yeah.
But like the cement...
The binding agent can be heated too much.
Yeah, and you can burn out the moisture in it, and that's what holds it together, basically.
Ah, that makes sense.
So I haven't heard what the final verdict on that was, but... Man, I would not want to be the insurance company for that construction company.
Oof.
Anyways, it's cool. It's a good mindfuck movie. Really well done. Really satisfying ending. The relationship, it's very traditional in terms of, how the relationship happens, like growing and changing, learning from your past kind of stuff. So I really liked it. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fun movie, and a very strong entry into the found footage genre. So if found footage is your deal, there's no excuse not to watch this. And it's on Netflix. So there you go.
What do you think are the must-sees for found footage?
Absolutely 100% Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
I want to watch Paranormal Activity 3 because that's the one that's set in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so much nostalgia in that one. So Blair Witch, Paranormal 1, 2, and 3, As Above, So Below. Can you add to that?
I think Exorcism of Emily Rose is really good, too.
The Exorcism of Emily Rose wasn't necessarily... It was kind of found footage style, but it wasn't like a found footage movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was shot in a way that's kind of reminiscent.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of what the other found... I'm sure there's another like found footage movie that I love, but those ones that you mentioned are the ones that are really
I really enjoy Cloverfield. I know that's not really your deal so much.
I still haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Cloverfield, the original, but no. You have seen 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah. Man, and that was great.
Man, but that's not found footage.
No.
That's what I love about the Cloverfield series is they try something new with every entry, you know, it's like serious drama.
Did you watch the straight to Netflix one?
Yeah. I liked it.
Was it?
Yeah, I liked it because you don't get a lot of decent, middling to decent sci-fi entries.
Right.
And that was a strong sci-fi element, not a strong sci-fi movie, but I dig sci-fi enough for it to, and I like that it pulls it all together. I really enjoy what they've done with the Cloverfield storyline.
So who would you recommend see As Above, So Below?
Yeah, I'd say anybody who digs on found footage, really. And you know, if you got somebody who is claustrophobic or afraid of the dark or just is fun to watch horror movies with, this is a good one. I can't even get my cousin to listen to this show. I'm like, it's not scary. She's like, it's called horror movie talk. I'm like, yeah, but the show is fun. It's not scary. She's like, you know, like she'd be fun to show this movie to.
Yeah. I think this, I think anyone could watch this one. Like that's kind of a cop out, but it's got a lot of different elements. It's very mass audience friendly in terms of the story and the plot, the setup.
Yeah.
And, very plays off the interesting elements of the setting very well.
One thing I wanted to bring up, thank God I didn't forget about this. I have a note here. There's some points where they lose some gear. Okay? So now bear with me. That means that there's like cameras and shit and flashlights sitting around in hell. You know? So like hell.
You got some demons taking selfies now.
Yeah. Like think about that. Like make that real for a second. Take that literally. So like you go to hell, you drop some coins and shit on the ground, and then you leave hell. What does hell do with that stuff? You know what's the history of this stuff now? Like, is the stuff in hell? Is the physical stuff from the physical world now just sitting around in hell? Does it like biodegrade?
Well, man,
it freaked me out. I was like, okay,
that's
so
what freaked you out.
Well, I'm just saying, does it keep recording? It's like a tree falls in the woods kind of thing. You know, it's like once you walk away from it, this is just kind of a theory of a place.
Yeah, I'm sure the devil gets his bros. Like they take some of those cameras and they make like their own.
They make the found footage movie. Yeah,
yeah,
they're like, look at this part. I got her good here. Dumb bitch. I grabbed a tit.
All right, let's move on to our next segment. We're gonna call up Ben Warrington on Skype and have Ben's Battle of Horror Knowledge.
Hello.
Let's get him on the phone.
Okay, wacky. And here's Ben Warrington. Ben has prepared something of a trivia game for Bryce and I. Ben, how does this game work? And and by the way, what's going on? Like, how's it going across the pond? Are things good over there? Y'all hanging in there with the COVID?
We're down with the COVID, yes. There's been talks of the app being developed, and there's talks of it being 1 meter apart rather than 2 meters apart. So we're so close to going back to the cinema and back to annoying each other physically. We're getting there. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. What's the game you got for us?
Oh, you want to know about the game, do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so the game is going to be split into 2 parts. The first 5 questions will be solely... you have to guess the film based solely on the parental guidance that I will read from the Internet Movie Database. And it was going to be Bryce against John, and whoever can win is going to be the ultimate boff, the ultimate guru, the OG horror dude. And,
okay, hold the phone. Boff?
Tits, titties,
Boff,
big old bitties.
What's
machines, of course.
Yeah. What is a boff, and do I want to be one?
So a boff is, well, I think we say boffin in the UK, meaning somebody who is a nerd or very clever at a specific subject. So, yeah. Boffin, a person engaged in scientific or technical research, is the actual definition for it. So,
weird. Okay. Wonder why we've never heard of that.
Yeah. So the ultimate boffin.
Okay. So we have to guess the movie based on the parental guidance suggestion on IMDb.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
I'm going to read off a few lines, and then the last 5 questions are going to be solely based. They're going to be 3. I'm going to give you 3 clues to a movie, and you have to guess what that movie is. And the clues are going to be very ambiguous and very short as well, so you have to be switched on for those.
Okay. So I'm going to assume that we're going to do very, very bad at this, both of us, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It is going to be fun, yeah.
I'm not the best at trivia, but I'll give it my best.
Yeah. All right, let's start it off, Ben.
Well, I'm going to start you off with a nice, easy one, and I'm going to do it in a nice, soft British accent so that you can really get the sort of sense of the movie here. So, let's just get it. Yeah, so, question 1 is, a man is stabbed in the butt with a meat thermometer. His tongue is ripped out by a turkey, and his heart is pecked out. That's clue number 1. Clue number 2. A man's head is cut off, and a woman's body is seen with her eyes cut out.
Wait,
a
are these
turkey.
This is the same movie?
Same movie.
Okay,
same movie. I'll tell you when. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 clues, just the funniest ones I can find, and then we'll move on to the next one, and you're going to have to guess after each one. So,
Okay.
A turkey has sex until orgasm behind a woman. A man unzips his pants, implying that he is going to have sex with a turkey. So there's the first one.
Okay. So
have we got any guesses?
So I think what we should do, we should call out our name if we want to buzz in early.
David.
Fuck.
Okay. That's Thanksgilling.
Okay.
That's
that is Thanksgilling.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a cheap shot there, jumping over David there.
Yeah,
but okay.
That's a gimme for David.
Yeah. Okay. So, film number 2.
A beautiful movie, by the way. Anybody who hasn't seen Thanksgilling. Yeah. I was listening to your commercial for that the other day, but called 1-800-Butterball.
I'm trying to get it sort of popular in the UK because we don't have Thanksgiving or anything like that. We only eat turkey once a year, so I'm really trying to push it on the mainstream in the UK. But all you have to do is show him that scene where he says, "How do you want to be stuffed?" and we lose our minds. So question number 2 in the zone. A man touches the floor of a restroom. A hand from a neighbouring stall grabs his hand and cuts off 2 of his fingers with a scalpel. Wow. The man screams while blood pours from his wound. Another man breaks the stall door open, grabs the man, shoves his head in the toilet, and nearly drowns him. He then pulls the man's head up and slashes his throat. Oh, no, nothing yet. Okay. Let's pump it up. A man with a chainsaw walks towards a man in a chair. He slips and falls, dropping the chainsaw on his leg. His leg is severed. Blood pours, and the man chained to the chair frees himself and shoots the man in the head.
David. Is this Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
Oh, it is not. You've just been frozen out of this round. There's only one chance now for Bryce to steal. I'm going to give you one more clue, Bryce, to get this. And let's see if you can get it from this. A man goes into a room where a woman is screaming and another man uses a torch to burn her face. The man then shoots the man with the torch. The woman's right eye is hanging out of her head. The man cuts the eye off and yellow liquid oozes from the wound.
Oh, I know this. I've seen this. Oh, God. What is that?
If you don't get it, I'll hazard a guess for no point.
Okay, just for some to be the big man. I like it.
That last one, the blowtorch with the yellow liquid coming out. God, what is that? I can't. Okay. It's not. I'm not getting it.
Is this?
I've seen it though.
One.
Is this Brain Dead or Dead Alive?
It's not. It was Hostel. 2004.
That's what it was. God damn it. Okay.
Yeah, she was. I think she ended up throwing herself in front of a train, even though she survived as well towards the end of the movie. So let's go for the next one.
Wow,
this one should be pretty easy. This one should be a bit closer to home. So a young man is killed, though the death is primarily off screen. It is shot several times. We see blood spray across the wall. A young girl is shown brutally murdered. We see her open-eyed corpse in the sand face up.
David.
With a leg broken. David.
This is It Follows.
It is It Follows.
Oh, man.
You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Some low-hanging fruit there, yeah?
I was thinking thinking It because you said It.
But he wasn't thinking about It from It Follows, the other
Yeah.
the similarly named It.
Okay.
I'm just mind fucking with you right now, boys. This is all me. The actual full thing is quite funny. She said, with a leg broken inside out and twisted towards her head, both thighs are bloody, and we see splintered bone emerging from the broken leg. Just beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to read the rest of them that you didn't get to, that's fine.
Yeah, because there is a few ones after you can use that are quite low-hanging fruit that make it a bit easier for you. So I like to go for the hard ones first. There's the next one. So it's 2-0 to David, isn't it? 2-0.
Yeah, I'm keeping score. Don't worry.
Good job. Okay. A man is hit over the head with a pipe and falls down a well. Ooh, okay. A man is grabbed by the shirt and punched repeatedly in the face. It doesn't say how many times, but repeatedly I'm going for sort of more than 5.
Okay.
A man shoves a large blade into a man's mouth and down his throat, causing a large amount of blood to gush from his mouth.
That makes sense.
And 2 men who are fighting with chainsaws. One eventually falls onto the blade of one of the chainsaws and a huge amount of blood sprays out from under his thrashing body.
Bryce.
Get it, son. Get it.
This. I don't. I'm going to say Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I don't know.
Oh my God. Have you guys only seen one movie? What is this?
I actually haven't seen
Hang on. Let me try. Let me think about this for a second. Okay,
Come on, John. This is one for you to steal.
Two men with chainsaws fighting. That's pretty unique. And then also the knife being shoved down the throat, and then obviously a fountain of blood coming up out of that.
I have a backup guess.
Okay, well, this sounds kind of like Ash versus Evil Dead to me. So maybe I don't remember this in Evil Dead 2, and it wasn't in Evil Dead 1. So, and you said this is movies, right?
This is all movies.
Okay, so
all movies.
So I'm gonna say, and it's been a while, and I don't remember this happening, but maybe Army of Darkness.
Unfortunately not. It's more modern than that. I've tried to stick with a sort of 21st century feel. So
what's your go, Bryce?
That was my second guess. It was something either like Brain Dead or Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
If I said that the film had Nicolas Cage holding one of those chainsaws,
it's Mandy.
Would that help?
Oh,
it is Mandy.
Hey,
it is Mandy.
I'd say that's worth at least a half a point.
I don't remember. See, I was focused so much on someone being thrown down a well that I know. I was trying to imagine that in my head.
That's the tamest explanation of Mandy I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that is probably one of the only films with a chainsaw duel.
I don't remember the chainsaw duel. There's so many things in Mandy that stand out to me.
The one guy has like a 4-foot chainsaw.
Oh yeah, yeah. God, that was such a badass action movie.
It
was so good.
The guy falling down the well reminds me of Norm Macdonald's set on the roast of Bob Saget.
Okay,
one of my favorite sets of all time. It goes. I think it was either Bob Saget or it was someone who says he's got a lot of well-wishers here tonight, and a lot of them wish he would fall down one. They want to push you down a well. They want to murder you in a well.
just throttling that bad joke to death.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, next one.
Okay. A woman is hit and killed by a 40-ton semi-truck going very fast, splattering her all over the road. What's left of her body is briefly seen later, and 2 men are instructed to pick up what's left of her head.
David,
quick time.
Is this Final Destination?
Oh, it's not, unfortunately. No. I know what you would think. That was when she backs into the middle of the road and saying, "No one's going to kill me," and then a bus runs over her.
It was a bus. God damn.
So, let's go.
I've frozen myself out.
You have. Would this be... Oh, no, is it 2-0 still?
It's 2 to half. I give Bryce a half a point for getting it that last one.
Yeah, okay. So, a man comes into a room wearing the face of a woman's husband, which he had cut off. And the woman screams and thrashes as the man walks towards her. A man shoots a woman in the head. A man tells a woman he wants sex. He presses against her. She licks her lips suggestively. He stabs her in the chest. We hear a crunch and blood spurts, and she slumps to the ground, gasping for air.
That sounds
a
like
woman
last
holds
week.
a gun.
Sounds like last weekend.
I hope you were 2 meters away when you wanted sex.
You bet I was.
Man, wearing her husband's face.
A woman holds a gun.
Go on. You can finish.
We're going for the last one. Okay, Let me do one more. A woman holds a gun on another woman and throws a knife into her chest. We see blood on her chest. The woman pulls the knife out while moaning. Blood pours from the wound, and she falls back on the floor and dies. Discuss.
See, I feel like I would have remembered seeing someone wearing someone's husband's face. And I don't think I've seen this one. I'll be really surprised if I did. What would...
He said he's tried to keep it kind of to this century. So my immediate thought following Final Destination was kind of like 8mm. Do you remember that with Nick Cage?
No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
with
not
the snuff movie.
Yeah,
it's not that.
It's not that. Okay.
No.
No.
I mean, this feels like a slasher. Who would wear someone's face?
Maybe it's...
Would you like a clue?
Is it Hannibal?
It's not, no. I'm going to give you a clue because it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Okay.
So the wife of the director is a lead star in the movie. That should give you some sort of playing around space. The director of the movie's wife is there.
Is it? Are we right that it's a slasher?
Do you know what? I wouldn't even put it into a subgenre. I have no idea what I'd put it into. It's crazy.
I don't know what. I'm the only wife actress director combo I can think of is Mike Flanagan and his wife, but I don't. But that would have been Hush.
Oh,
and it's not that.
Oh no, it had a semi. It had a semi in it. I was gonna say maybe it's the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
No.
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
No, Sweeney Todd is Todd. Sweeney Todd is it's a historical fiction, so it wouldn't have a giant semi.
It's a music. It's technically a musical.
I give up. I can't. I don't got it.
I don't got it.
So the answer was The Devil's Rejects, which is obviously Sherry Moon Zombie and Rob Zombie.
This is like Grindhouse, is what that is, I guess.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not very familiar with the films of Robert Zombie, so
Bob Zombie,
Bobby Zombie,
Bobby Zombie. Okay, all right. So let's go on to section 2. Maybe I can redeem myself.
Section 2 is going to be pretty simple. I'm going to give you 3 very, very short statements about a horror movie. Let's say I'd say axe, door, and maze. You would say The Shining. That's the sort of thing that we're going with. Okay.
Okay.
So I want you to buzz in again, just like you did the last round, as soon as you have the answer. So we're going to start off with Exile. Wood chopping.
Bryce.
A goat.
Bryce. The Witch.
Bryce is in.
The Witch.
It is The Witch. The Witch. The Witch. Or the Vitch, if you have a look at the poster.
Uh-huh.
It's spelled with 2 V's for some reason. I don't know if that's trying to be ambiguous, but yeah.
People get pretty upset about that sometimes. They're like, it's still The Witch. It's just that a W didn't exist before. It's like, yeah, okay, but it's fun to say The Vitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Question 2.
Yeah.
A bear, a cage, and flowers.
Midsummer. David.
Oh, I've got to... Oh, I don't know what the rules are there. Who's the adjudicator? Because he didn't buzz in there. But,
I got it.
No, it was
David.
David.
I think Bryce gave that one away. Yeah, that's a point for David there.
Okay. Last one.
At first, I was thinking backcountry, but
I mean, I've already lost it, but I want to see. I want to hear. If...
No. I've got a few. I've got 3 more. We'll get through these quick. We'll get through these quick.
You could win.
A roller coaster, sunbeds, a nail gun.
Bryce
is in.
This feels like Final Destination, but I don't know which one. So, and I haven't seen any of them.
Wow.
So how many are there?
There's at least 7.
I think there is 7, yeah, I think.
I'll say 2.
I tell you what, John, do you want to have a guess just to see who can get the closest?
So I take it that makes it a Final Destination movie.
Man, this would have been.
It is a Final Destination movie. Yeah, which one?
This would have been a great tiebreaker. Closest to.
I'm going to say the original. I'm going to say Final Destination 1.
So we've had 1 and 2, and the answer is Final Destination 3.
Yay! I won.
Wait, what?
Closest 2 wins.
What are you
closest
talking?
2 wins?
Well, then, I mean, I didn't know that's how.
Well, sorry. That's how you play the game.
I'm taking away your half point if that's the case. I was being awfully generous by giving you a half point following the.
All right, give me just half a point for that one then.
Okay.
So what's the score? We've got 2 left. What's the score?
3-2 now. I think.
3-2.
Okay. A gypsy.
Bryce.
Go on, Bryce.
Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, you son of a bitch! You've got it. What a shot! On the first clue as well. A gypsy, a button, and vomit. That's what I went with. So is that it? 3-3. It's the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tiebreaker.
Okay.
Tiebreaker.
Okay. Tiebreaker here. Oh, who is going to be the true horror boffin?
I don't know.
I can't see my computer screen past my throbbing erection right now. Two men, a cabin, and a wood chipper.
Bryce.
Go, Bryce.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh.
There it is. There it is.
There you
there
go.
It is.
Look at
yes.
that, coming from behind to really pull it out. I wouldn't have gotten that one. As soon as I hear wood chipper, everything goes in the bin, and I just go Fargo. I just go, oh, he's talking about Fargo. It's a wood chipper. Good job.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was a fun game.
Well done, Bryce.
I liked it because I won. All right, awesome. Well, thanks so much, Ben, for preparing that for us. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, that was a blast. This
Definitely,
was
guys.
Normally our news guy, Ben Warrington, from across the pond. Ben, give our listeners a little inspiration before you go. Tell them everything's going to be okay.
Listen to the soft British voice that is telling you right now to stay indoors and don't cough on things that other people may touch. And just remember that while you're at home and relaxing and waiting for this to blow over, make sure you follow me at Mr. Ben Warrington on Twitter and
then
Warrington _ on Instagram.
What? Yeah, give it again. What are we following you on Twitter at?
Twitter is at Mr. Ben Warrington, all one word. That's Ben and Warrington as WARRINGTON. And the same for my Instagram. It's Ben Warrington with an _ at the bottom. So thank you very much, guys. Anyway, and I'll be thinking about something exciting to do for next time.
Excellent. Take Ben's advice. Go, wait for this to blow over, have a pint, and follow him at Twitter.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
We'll see you.
Cheers,
I feel
guys.
better already. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, thanks, Ben, for calling. That was fun.
That was fun. Thanks, Ben. And you make sure to follow Ben on, Twitter.
Yeah. Next up to It Came from Social Media.
Yes, it came
from social media.
To fill the world with terror, to bring you unforgettable suspense. What was it? Where did it come from? Who were the all-powerful creatures it brought
from social media?
And what did they want on Earth?
I almost wasn't going to do It Came from Social Media this week, but there's a couple things that I wanted to bring up. Did you see on Twitter what Jason sent us?
No.
Pull it up.
Okay.
He found this image on Facebook, and this
is a message?
No, it was posted. I retweeted it, so just go to the profile. Okay. I want to hear your reaction to it. First thing that you see.
Shut the fuck up.
Describe the image to the listeners.
Okay, so it's like pulp style art, so like 1979-ish style art. And it's a busty gal with tits exposed, but in place of nipples, like she's...
So like Ash in Evil Dead, how his arm is replaced.
Right, exactly like how Ash's arm is replaced with a chainsaw. Her nipples are replaced with chainsaws.
Like full-size chainsaws.
And they're flailing wildly, spurting blood, and the title says Chainsaw Tits. And then she has kind of a speech bubble that says, "Don't touch my tits." What the fuck?
It's perfect. That's just perfection.
This is, and it has
chainsaw tits. Don't touch my tits.
Credit where it's due. At the bottom, it has a little stamp that says at tragicgirls.co.
Okay.
So there you go. Chainsaw tits. Bravo, Jason.
Yeah, don't touch my tits. Ross H on Facebook reached out and he says, "Hi guys, my wife Kitty," which we know and have mentioned several times before. She's a patron.
Love her a lot. Maybe more than Ross.
He said, "She turned me on to you guys. I'm not a horror fan. Scares the crap out of me, but I do try to watch them as she loves them so much. I love listening to you and your reviews, and I find out about a movie I might not watch and then start the slow process of psyching myself up to watch one, and I laugh about them with you. Thanks to you, I watched The Wicker Man, which felt like a 70s porn movie, which ended quite terribly. And after your recommendation, I followed up straight after with Midsommar, which on reflection was one of the best movies I've seen. But the context was something that kept me awake into the early hours as my mind was trying to process the horror of being stuffed into a bear suit and burned alive. Spoilers. Anyway, I'm a fan and I think you guys are great. Keep up the good work. You get me through my work days with a smile. Stay safe, Ross."
What a good husband, man. Like, the guy admittedly hates horror. You know, he's like, it's just not, it scares the shit out of me. But my wife loves it so much, so I try and watch it with her. Yeah. Well, that's just good. That's just being a good husband.
That's a relationship that's going to last.
Yeah, for real.
Nick on Twitter goes by
at JunkyardGod316. He says, "Yeah, I've been listening for the last few months. I saw Sleepaway Camp and was looking for someone who discussed it in depth. Found you guys that way and have been listening ever since. My favorite horror movie is probably The Serpent and the Rainbow." I've heard of that one before.
See, I hadn't. I looked it up. It looks interesting. It's got Bill Pullman, and it looks kind of like a voodoo type movie.
Who's Bill Pullman? Oh!
He's the president in Independence Day.
Oh, I'm thinking of Paxton.
Yeah, you're thinking of Paxton.
Bill Pullman is president. Oh, okay.
Today will be our Independence Day.
Okay. Yeah.
And finally, this is the one I'm really excited about. So
thanks for reaching out to us, Nick.
Just so you know, on Twitter, if you follow us, I'm probably going to reach out to you and ask you, and say, like, thanks for the follow, or you're a fan of the podcast, and what's your favorite horror movie? And I can usually determine whether people are fans of the show, whether they actually are real people and not bots by asking this question. And sometimes the answer... So if you keep count, I asked 2 questions. And whether they... Almost no one answers both of them. Everyone answers, what's your favorite horror movie?
Right.
Anyways, Owen Jeremiah...
This kept me going all week.
At Owen Jeremiah 3 on Twitter, his response was...
Vampire movie. What's your favorite horror movie?
Vampire movie.
Vampire movie.
You can't see that response and not think of it in an accent.
Vampire movie.
Vampire movie.
Vampire movie. What's your favorite horror movie? It's Vampire movie.
The only contender for best comment for all the world of horror movie talk is Glue Glue Bam Bam.
Glue Glue Bam Bam. Oh, man.
What post was that on? I can't remember what posted it, but on our website, in the comments section, just randomly, someone...
It was somewhere around late summer of 2019, so...
Yeah.
Glue Glue Bam Bam.
Someone left a comment that was literally just Glue Glue Bam Bam. So yeah. GLU and BAM.
Yeah.
Glue Glue Bam Bam.
Yeah.
Anyways, vampire movie. All right. Thanks, everyone, for reaching out to us on social media. Sorry if I didn't get to you. Thanks again for listening. If you like the show, be like Kitty. Share it with everyone. Share it even with your friends that don't like horror movies, because they might like the show. Again, if you are an Apple product user, please leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts. We're trying to get up to 200 for reasons. Check out Amazon Associates. Click through the button in our banner on horrormovietalk.com. You're going to be horrormovietalk.com. You're going to shop on Amazon anyways because you're locked up in your house, so might as well click through our website.
It helps us out. Please support the show by shopping with our Amazon link. We love you.
And again, check out our Patreon because this movie was selected by patrons like you. Well, maybe not like you,
maybe
but
not like you,
like you could be.
Yeah, as something that you might aspire to be.
And if you're a patron, patrons like you. Okay. Thanks again. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. We love you. Have a good week. Stay free of the COVID. Bye.
Listen, I cannot understand you. This is crazy. You're a fool. I can't cope with the stupid bitchy. Understand?